Okay, hello everyone. Today we have someone very special with us. Today we have Pranshu. Pranshu is currently studying at the University of Waterloo and he's in his final year. So, hi Pranshu, how are you doing?
Hi, Karen. I'm doing good. How about you?
Perfect. I'm doing good as well. So, Pranshu, my first question to you would be what actually made you choose Canada over the US? Since, especially for degrees like CS, people tend to run only to the US and believe that the US is the best place for degrees like that.
Right. So I'd say my first reason for actually choosing Canada over US stemmed from the field that I'm interested in. So I was originally really interested in quantum computing, and so Waterloo is one of the only universities in the world that has a really comprehensive program in masters for
Hmm.
quantum computing. And doing some backward research for that field, I found out that getting a bachelor's in computer science is pretty good for that field. So I thought that I could get close to some researchers and people who are currently, studying and working in that field by going to the University of Waterloo and learning more about it. Another thing that I would say that made me choose Canada over US, so in this case specifically Waterloo, their CS program is actually part of their faculty of math, and that is something that I appreciate a lot because essentially not a lot of places lay as much emphasis on math in computer science as Waterloo does.
Right.
So I feel like that's critical. And lastly, just as a personal reason, I at that time I was a bit perturbed by the insane amount of violence and shootings and stuff that were going on in US. So just for a personal comfort level, I found that Canada would be a
Mhm.
bit safer and a bit more approachable and friendly.
Yeah, definitely. All those answers that you've included definitely made a lot of sense. Coming back to my second question to you, I've heard that you've received high scholarships from both U of T and Waterloo. Was there any special prep that you undertook to get these scholarships in particular?
Yeah, so for Waterloo, I basically took these two math contests. The first one's called the Euclid contest, and the second one is CSMC or Canadian Senior Mathematics Contest. I did pretty okay on the Euclid exam. It wasn't anything extraordinary to help me get a scholarship, but it was enough to such that when I actually enrolled in Waterloo, I was able to get into some of the more advanced courses because of my score. But in CSMC, I was able to come in like the top 0.5% of exam takers from India. So I placed really, really highly. And as a result of that, I ended up getting a hefty scholarship from Waterloo. As for U of T, I also took the SAT, in which I happened to get 800 out of 800 in maths. And besides that, I'm also an AP scholar. So I did pretty well on different AP exams which I took, such as AP Calculus BC, AP Physics C Mechanics, and AP Computer Science.
Perfect. That's a lot of achievements, and it definitely reflects how smart and intellectual you are. Moving on to my next question to you, you've already been at Waterloo for the past 3 years, and you're currently in your final year. Could you share with our listeners what exactly makes Waterloo stand out as a university? Along with that, I also want to know a little bit about co-op and how did you actually use it to your advantage?
Right. So, kind of answering both questions in one fell swoop, I would say that the main defining feature of Waterloo for computer science students, especially, but also for other students, for students in other programs, is the cooperative education. So, essentially, it's like an internship program which is integrated with your studies. You have a specific number of credits that you're required to attain by doing work terms. So these work terms can be 4 months long, 8 months long, or even 12 months long, and you can decide exactly how long you want a work term to be. But basically, the university gives you a sequence that allows you to do your first internship of 4 months as early as the end of your first year, which is something none of the other universities allow, that you can
Yeah.
get work experience so early on. So that's one of the most outstanding things that Waterloo has. And the other thing is that their system is actually really comprehensive and detailed. So they have this website called Waterloo Works, where all these companies basically come and post their job openings only on that website, and only Waterloo students can basically apply through that
Mhm.
website. So that's an advantage that Waterloo students get, and it has the it exists because all the companies know the quality of the students that Waterloo provides. And this is another thing which, so the amount of postings and openings. So for spring 2024, that's the current term, when I was applying, just
Mhm.
for CS, there were 3,000 job openings in the first
Mhm.
cycle, which is an absurd amount of positions for just internships, which
Right.
is how much trust that the companies and the startups and all these other places that you can work at, it just shows how much trust they have vested in Waterloo. So I would say that definitely puts them a cut above any other university in North America.
Perfect. That's really impressive, especially with a very volatile job market right now. The fact that there are these companies that trust universities like Waterloo, it's definitely like plus points and bonus points for Waterloo in itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so moving away now from all the serious stuff, um, can you tell us what your close friends at uni are studying, and where are they actually from? I'm trying to understand how diverse the student body here at the University of Waterloo is actually.
Right. So some of my closest friends are actually Chinese Canadian. Some of them are from China directly, and I have a few Indian friends who are from India, some Indian friends who are from the Middle East, and a few Indian friends who are from Canada as well. I also have a couple of white friends, and essentially, so I'm a director at the badminton club at the
Mhm.
University of Waterloo. So I've gotten the chance to meet an extremely diverse uh, a lot of students from a lot of different origins. And
Mhm.
I think diversity is one thing that you will find a lot of at the University of Waterloo. There is a bit less of it in certain programs. So, for example, most of my friends are from computer science, but a couple of them have taken some other things such as biomedical engineering or chemistry and kinesiology. So I do have some friends in other programs as well, but primarily I did find that it's easiest to make friends with people who are in the same degree as you, undergoing the same
Right.
trials as you, and giving the same exams as
Right, that definitely makes sense. And as a final question to you, you've spoken about the academics, you've spoken about what you do as a student, but now what we want to know is what do you actually do in your free time?
you. Right. So as I mentioned, I'm a director at the University of Waterloo Badminton Club. So in as part of that, I help organize socials for the executives. I take care of the club activities, such as organizing events with the rest of my team. And essentially, I also partake in a lot of badminton playing and
Mhm.
tournaments. And besides that, I do enjoy reading and playing a lot of video games as well. I'm not too much into watching series, but
Mhm.
besides that too, there's a bunch of activities that you can do at the University of Waterloo. They have
Mhm.
clubs for everything, for chess, football, lawn tennis, table tennis, volleyball. There even is a club for Quidditch, which is the most funny
Oh.
thing I had ever heard of. People actually hold brooms and run around. It's very silly, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun if you ever get to play it. And ultimate frisbee, for example, is another sport. And there's all kinds of crazy sports and all kinds of crazy activities that you can take part in, and that all kinds of clubs that you can just be a part of, make new friends, and like stand up comedy and just a bunch of things. There's even a poker club that I'm a part of.
Perfect.
But yeah.
This just explains about even though how academic focused your university is, you also know, and all the students also know how to have a good time. And that I think is like a really good balance that students especially need nowadays. So it's really good to hear that.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Okay, so with this, we come to an end of our interview here today, Pranshu. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'm sure your insights and your experience today is going to not only inspire a lot of students to apply to universities abroad in general, but maybe you might see some of our Leslie students at the University of Waterloo as well in the coming years.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time as well, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.